Hello. Okay. It is time for everyone to check your seeds and get ready for you planting your garden. And I have here my seeds that I have gathered, and these are my very favorite tomato seeds. They're Golden Jubilee, and I got these from a gentleman on YouTube, I think it was. No, eBay. That's where I got them. And they are the best tomato ever. I swear, they really are. I also plant Romas. I'll try and get that close enough for you to see. Plant Romas. And I plant beefsteak red tomatoes. These, I think, are the best. Now this, I hope I can get it close enough. They're called Golden Jubilee tomatoes. And I got them from a gentleman off of eBay. And if I find the link, I will certainly let you know. Now, I've also have Ruby Queen beets. And these are what I'm going to be putting in my garden this year. Cherry Bell radishes. They are the absolute best. They get to about the size of a cherry. They can get bigger if you leave them. But, yeah, they are really nice. They're very flavorful. And then we have cucumbers. I usually plant the straight eights, and I believe that's what these ones say. They're the best, I think, for pickling. You know, other people, you can use pretty much whatever you want, but that's the ones that I go for. And as for carrots, I'm going to be planting these again. These are called Scarlet Nantes, and they are a very sweet carrot. They are really good. Really good. Then I will be planting my peppers. Last year I planted a yellow Brandywine tomato. It was really flavorful. I got it from that same gentleman off of eBay. They were very flavorful, but I didn't like the grooves and everything that they got in them. So, yeah, won't be doing that again. I also planted some eggplant. I couldn't even give them away. So we won't be doing that again. I planted some of these orange habanero peppers. Couldn't give them away either. I had a cherry tomato come up volunteer from last year. That one gave off quite a lot of little tomatoes. I mean, I was surprised. I also will be planting green and red and yellow peppers again this year. These are regular. They are the Red Mercury, a green, I guess it's a Great Stuff hybrid. Might not be planting that one again, but it did produce quite well. Hey, glad you joined us. And then I also have yellow peppers, which I'll be planting. And then I also plant a couple plants of jalapenos. Those are really good to, put just a little bit into different things that you're making. Like I put it into my homemade ketchup that I make. They give it just a little bit of a zing. You can also make choke cherry jelly with jalapeno peppers in it. And that's, it's got a different taste. It's, yeah. And then I also plant these mini peppers, which they're just a small pepper. They get to about the size of a 50-cent piece, sometimes a little bigger, not much. And they're mini reds, mini orange bell, mini yellow bell, and mini chocolate bell. And the color says what they're going to look like. And they are great for just little appetizers. You can put stuffing in them, and my grandkids love them because they're just small, so they like to eat those. And then, what else? I will be planting also. Now these are seeds that I've had left over from last year. So that's why they're kind of wrinkled up here and held together with paper clips. This is the Calabaza Waltham Butternut. These are the absolute best squash I think I've ever tasted. These are a crookneck. I don't think I'll be planting these this year, but they are still very nice for, you can slice them up in coins and bread them and then deep fat fry them. They are really good that way. And then I always plant spaghetti squash. Now this is really healthy for you, and it does look like spaghetti, and it is yummy. I always plant those. And there was a while when I was planting acorn squash, but I've kind of gotten off of that. They don't really stay good over the winter. So, yeah, I probably won't be doing that again. What else? These are my sugar snap peas. Now, I picked these up at Orscheln's. They are really good. I mean, I'll sit outside and eat them as I'm picking them. And I probably shouldn't do that, but I do anyway. And then I plant green beans. Now these I will cut up French style, and I really enjoy them. They really came out quite well. Now, the fun ones. Sugar Baby Watermelon. These don't get very big. They, from softball size to basketball size, I guess. Maybe not quite. They are so sweet. My sister-in-law even said that they are the sweetest that she's ever had. I also always plant a sweet sugar pie pumpkin. They're just the right size for a pie. Each pumpkin is. Plus they're nice with decorations and that as well. I also have a pumpkin garden that I always have, a pumpkin patch that my neighbors, they seem to enjoy. I plant the Dill's giant pumpkins. And then I will plant the Fairy Tale. They're a medium-sized pumpkin. And then I will plant a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. They don't have the eyes cut out, so, but they get to be a nice size. And then these blue dolls, I absolutely love these. They are so nice looking. And the meat in these is very sweet. And so I enjoy those. My nephew's wife, she really likes them, decorating in front of her daycare that she has. And then I'll plant a knucklehead, a Casper, which is a white pumpkin, and these Gerardales, and they are very nice as well. They kind of resemble that blue pumpkin, blue doll, but they're a little smaller. And yeah, all these just look really good for decoration and that. I also have pumpkin seeds for the mini pumpkins that only get to be about this big. I've got variegated and orange, and where's the other one? White, I believe, is what they are. And they are, you know, they're all really good for decorating with. And then the other fun ones, and I enjoy these, they are the dipper gourds. And I like to make the decorations with them. They are very pretty. They're fun to paint. I also plant these bushel gourds. They're about the size of a bushel basket. And they also are fun to paint. Then we get the cannonballs. Oops. It's a cannonball. You can do all sorts of decorations with these. I did learn with these that you have to clean them out outside. You don't want to do it in the house because they smell. Once they've dried and you go to open them up, they smell. They really do. And then these birdhouse gourds. I also, well, actually they're called a dipper as well. They're an extra long, or a swan neck. I've heard them called that. These are the birdhouse gourds right here. I had some that were called caveman clubs, and they actually did look like a club. And I decorated them up, and I took them into a craft fair, and the kids just loved them. Now here's the harvest blend of the mini pumpkins. And then there's also what's called Jack Be Little, and they're orange. And they are very fun to plant, and there's a specific way that you have to dry these gourds, and they do take time. They don't just dry over a winter. Sometimes they take longer than that. But you just have to keep checking them and make sure that they don't mold on you and get all kinds of mildew and other really nasty things. The other things, then I also have here my flower seeds. I have several that I have collected, and I'll be planting those and getting those started about the same time that I do my garden seeds. And as you can see, I took my Jerry Dale pumpkin seeds from the last time, and I just put them in an envelope. That way they stay nice and dry and everything like that. Now the other thing that I like to plant, and it has turned out quite well except for last year, is the Japanese hulless popcorn. I don't plant sweet corn here because there are enough farmers around the area that will plant their sweet corn, and I get it from them and then I put it up. But this popcorn is really quite yummy. I actually enjoy it quite a bit. Now, the way I plan my garden is I will get some graph paper, and I'll sit down with the graph paper, and I will make a rudimentary design, and then I figure out where is going to be the best place to put certain things. Like, you don't want to plant garlic next to your potatoes. I found that out. And you need to look up online, and you will find places that talk about companion gardening, what you can plant with something else, and that helps you keep your garden small. Like you can plant radishes with with the corn, because then when you pull the radishes, it turns the soil a little bit, and it's just enough. I almost forgot. I plant beets every year because I love beets, and I don't see my beet package, but I usually plant the Detroit Reds, I believe is what they're called, and those are my favorite. So my son likes beets, but apparently nobody else in his family does, so they don't eat them. But yeah, so he gets them for me, and they are wanting to learn how to garden, and so this year they're building a new house. Hopefully it'll be ready for spring, and then they can start their own garden, and they're really looking forward to that, I can tell. Here we go. Oh, Ruby Queen beets. I also get the Detroit Reds. I like those as well, but yeah. There's also a new one that's called a white beet. So I've noticed that after you eat your cooked beets, buttered beets, that your urine will turn red. And so if you don't want your urine turn red and that freaks you out, then I'm going to try these white beets and see if they aren't a little better so that they don't do that so much. Anyway, back to talking about the grid. You need so much space for certain plants. Like with watermelon, they're going to take up a pretty good sized area. So you probably want about 10 square feet for watermelon. With potatoes, I plant an area about 12 feet by 12 feet, sometimes a little more, with my potatoes. And I really like the russets. I planted some gold, Yukon Gold. They don't seem to do well here. I don't know if it's the soil. They taste okay. They don't overwinter well, is what I have found out. The other thing that I plant, I have raised boxes that I plant my peppers in. I have a raised box for beets. I have these cattle panels that I form into hoops that I plant my tomatoes by, and then as they grow I tie them onto the cattle panels so that they just keep growing up and they're not all over the ground and bent over and everything else. And I just use torn up pieces of t-shirts for that. And I also will do that with my green beans. Last year I planted way too many green beans. I had way more than what I needed. You just need to figure out, how much space you need for your plants. My spaghetti squash and butternut squash, I also plant on those hoops. Well, I call them hoops, but they're cattle panels. And I move them every couple years. So I moved them last year so they can stay there again this year. And then I'll move them around again to rotate crops. You want to keep rotating. That way beans will put the nitrogen back into your ground. So you just need to know what's going to help your garden soil. And yeah, it's very important to rotate your crops because you don't want to deplete your garden soil. I also have my brother bring up a loader full of manure, and then I sprinkle that out in the garden, and I get that all taken care of then, and that's how I fertilize. Also, when I plant my seedlings that I've got in here, when I take them outside, I will dig a hole. I'll put some Miracle-Gro down at the bottom. I don't even remember how much. It's not very much. And then I'll put a layer of soil, and then I'll plant my plant. And by the time that the plant reaches the Miracle-Gro, the roots are established, and it helps them. Then they reach the Miracle-Gro and they just go crazy. Then like 2 weeks after that, once they've started really growing, then I will put a handful of Epsom salt around them, and I will, that also helps the soil and helps the plant. I've also heard peroxide works, but I have never tried that, so I don't know. I can't speak on that. But yeah, and then throughout the summer, I'll go out with Epsom salts and sprinkle some more along the ground, and every once in a while I'll use a little bit more of the Miracle-Gro. But that's how I take care of my garden. I will be planting my, starting my tomatoes and peppers, and I think that's all I start in here real soon, and my flowers. And I'll let you know when I do that, and then we can all start our gardens at the same time. I hope that this was informative for you, and thank you for watching. Bye.